Let's say you are a React developer. You love building stuff, but juggling routing, API endpoints, and SEO feels like cooking with too many stoves at once. What if you had just one pan that does it all? That's where Next.js comes in. It's a React framework that turns you into a full-stack developer, even if you don't want to be. And in this video, we are building a recipe sharing app to explore how Next.js works and why it makes React feel complete. We will start with a blank kitchen. Open up your terminal and type npx create next app at latest recipe app. Go with the default options. No TypeScript, no strict mode. Just hit enter a few times. Once it's done, head into the folder and start the development server. Your app is live on localhost /3000. That default page you see? That's coming from a file called app/page.js. Yes, in Next.js, routing is file-based. If you create a file, you create a page. So let's make our homepage say something like, "Welcome to Recipe World." Feel free to add some Tailwind CSS classes if you want it to look slightly less boring. Now we need an add recipe page. Just make a new folder add, and inside it a file called page.js. Return any JSX you want, maybe just a form placeholder for now. Visit /add in your browser. Next.js has already mapped the route. That's it. No router setup, no config files, you just build. Let's make it dynamic. Say we want a page for each recipe like /pizza or /sushi. We will create a folder called recipe ID with a page.js file inside. Yes, square brackets. They turn it into a dynamic route. Now, when someone visits /burger, the component inside this page will receive a params object where recipe ID is burger. You can fetch the recipe from a database or just mock it for now. It works like URL magic. But our app needs a consistent layout. Maybe a navbar that shows up on every page. That's what app/layout.js file is for. This file wraps your entire app. Add a nav section with two links, one to / and one to /add. But don't use regular anchor tags. Use Next.js built-in link component instead. It enables client-side navigation without full page reloads. Fast and smooth, like flipping through a cookbook. While we are in layout.js file, let's do some SEO. Next.js lets you export a metadata object. Just add it with page title and description. Each page can have its own SEO data. In dynamic routes like recipe ID /page.js, use the generate metadata function. Grab the recipe ID from params and return a custom title and description based on it. Now, every page is SEO optimized without any extra plugin. Time to talk rendering. In Next.js, there are two types of components, server and client. By default, everything inside the app folder is a server component. That means it's rendered on the server, then sent as HTML. Fast and SEO friendly. But if you need interactivity, like a form, just add the directive useClient at the top of the file. Now you can use hooks like useState, useEffect, etc. Think of it like this. The server cooks the meal and the client sprinkles the garnish. Let's fetch some data. In page.js file, make your component async. Inside it, fetch some recipes from a fake API or just return a hard-coded array. Because it's a server component, the fetch happens on the server. The page is pre-rendered and delivered with data. For dynamic pages like recipe ID, use the params object to get the ID and fetch that specific recipe. Everything renders ahead of time in build time or on request, depending on how you configure it. Speaking of which, let's talk SSG, SSR, and ISR techniques. 3 ways to render a page. Static site generation or SSG means the page is built at build time. Perfect for your homepage. Just fetch the data once and ship the HTML. Server-side rendering or SSR means it's rendered on every request. Use this for pages that need to stay fresh, like individual recipes. But there's a hybrid mode called incremental static regeneration or ISR. It works like SSG but regenerates in the background after a set time. Just add a revalidate option to your fetch logic. It keeps things fast and up to date. For dynamic routes, if you already know which pages to pre-build, export a generate static params function. Return an array of known recipe IDs. Now those pages will be statically generated too. Let's accept user input. In app/api/recipe/route.js file, export a post handler that takes form data and responds with a success message. That's your API endpoint, right there in the app folder. On the add recipe page, when the user submits the form, send a fetch request to /api/recipes route with the form data. Now you have full stack functionality without writing any Express.js code. Time to make things look good. Next.js supports any styling method, but Tailwind CSS makes it stupid easy. Add some classes like Text Center, bggray100, p4, etc. You can also create CSS modules or edit globals.css if you want more control. Let's polish the user experience with a loading state. Inside recipe ID folder, create a file called loading.js and return a skeleton loader. When the page is loading, Next.js will automatically show this. You can also wrap components in suspense boundary with a fallback for loading states. Next.js supports streaming, meaning parts of the page can show up while others are still rendering. Now, let's handle errors. If a recipe doesn't exist, you can throw a notfound method. Next.js will show the notfound.js page in your app folder. If you want route-specific error handling, drop an error.js file inside recipe ID folder. It catches any rendering errors on that route. No white screens, no crashes. Next.js is optimized by default. Use the image component for automatic image optimization. It serves responsive images with lazy loading. For fonts, import them in layout.js using the next/font utility. Let's level up the routing. Create a folder like admin wrapped in curly braces /dashboard/page.js. This groups it logically but doesn't affect the URL. So the path is still /dashboard, but now you can separate admin only stuff. These are route groups. Want parallel routes? Inside the dashboard folder, create a folder like @myrecipes and @favorites, each with their own page.js file. Both will render side by side inside a shared layout. It's like two sections of your dashboard loading independently. Time to lock it down. Use auth.js, formerly known as NextAuth, to set up authentication. Add Google login and protect routes like /add or /admin by checking if the user is signed in. You now have a secure recipe page. Want more power? Use middleware. Create a middleware.js file to intercept requests, redirect users, rewrite URLs, or block access. You can also add internationalization with built-in I187 support to make your app multilingual. Finally, let's deploy. Push your code to GitHub, then connect it to Vercel, the company who built Next.js. Click deploy. You are live in seconds. You can also run npm run build and host it anywhere. Netlify, VPS, whatever you want. And that's a wrap. We built a full recipe app with routing, layouts, API routes, SEO, authentication, and advanced rendering, all using just one framework, Next.js. The full code is on GitHub. Check out the Next.js official documentation to dive deeper into this powerful React framework. Like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.